What's good, family? It's your boy FONZi, you trying to represent for Bout.online.com. Joined by Floss Mode, aka Floss Angeles, chiming in from the West Coast, California. Definitely want to say shouts out to everybody. Hope everybody's had a great week. Going in for this weekend, we got a few different topics we're going to be looking at. A lot of fallout in hip hop and in the community. So, what's good with you, Floss?
Top of the tops. Top of the AM out here, especially on the West. Good morning, everybody. There's a lot of things going on in the world. Let's talk about it.
No doubt, man. I mean, one of the things that we've seen, I guess, a bit of an update coming on has been on the situation regarding Jamie Foxx. It was reported that Jamie Foxx had suffered some kind of a stroke, and they say he's on his way to recovery. There's been reports that Nick Cannon had replaced him on a show. There's been, I guess, some online speculation where people say there was an interview that he recently did where he spoke about Diddy and some industry parties and stuff. Now, I checked out the clip of the interview and I didn't really hear anything that egregious or obscure. But you know how the internet's like, people are throwing in, I guess, there's speculation in the mix of feeling as though, you know, something could have been done to Jamie to kind of silence him or something. I mean, have you heard of this situation where you think of this Jamie Foxx being taken at such a high point in his career?
I heard it. I heard something about it. You know, it's, you know, it is what it is, the internet and all that. But, you know, when I heard about it with Jamie, it hit close to home because how many times we would be at this nigga parties. You know what I'm saying? They be off the meat rack. You know, sometimes a person is so funny that you don't even really see them being sick or getting sick. How the hell wanted to go get sick? You know what I'm saying? So a person, but at the end of the day, people have to realize that, you know, Foxx is human. He's human too. So, you know, speedy recovery. Hope nothing, you know, got taken away. You know, stroke is a hard thing. Take your speech away, take your mobility. It can take your knock your equilibrium off, everything, you know. Hope he recovers. Definitely an icon and funny as hell, you know what I'm saying? But I heard the thing about it, you know, about Diddy and all that. I don't believe it until I see it.
Well, I mean, they say he's still in hospital 3 weeks after suffering a medical emergency. A lot of celebrities we've seen chime in with their support and stuff. And there was a statement released that said that he's feeling blessed, which has been one of the first official statements released since the incident. But a lot of people have been speaking out, you know, fans sharing their concerns and stuff for his health in this situation.
Yeah, sometimes you forget about it. Well, health is wealth. You know what I mean? Sometimes you be on the go. You know, when we was doing this shit, it had us going, pew, 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 and we was just getting into it, and you know, had some years in it. But when you get to Foxx in them level, you know, planes all the time, you're traveling, you're tired, you're not even really, you know, once you get there, you still have to learn your lines. You barely sleeping. You know what I'm saying? It takes a toll on you. You got big Louis luggage under your eyes. You know what I mean? It's a price for this shit. The price.
Yeah, we're getting a lot. Hold on. Has a connection on your end? We're getting a lot of breakup on this end. Are you getting any? Has a connection on that side? Getting a lot of keep chopping in and out.
You sound an A1 Yola. Hold on. We're gonna readjust. Yeah, you know, you never really heard too much of Foxx being sick or anything before. You know what I mean? It could have just been a fact that he was slipping. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't. They got as much money as they can get the best doctors they can find. They got all the money, but sometimes you're so on your craft. You're so on. You know, you got people that depend on you. So it's a bunch of people there ain't no time for no doctor right now, and that's when they get you.
Yeah, no doubt, man. I mean, we definitely want to say best wishes to JB and the Foxx family.
He
I
say
mean,
he ain't
switching
saying
over
a
slightly
rest in peace to
with a
Jamie Foxx.
different
He say he
topic.
ain't saying rest in peace. You feel me? We could have been like a rest in peace thing. No, I'm glad he's still here.
Yep. No doubt, man. I mean, you definitely give it up to him for his work and stuff. Hopefully, he bounced back, and if I'm sure if there's anything more egregious to the story, it will subsequently come out in time. I mean, one of the things that I wanted to touch on, we've seen a post with 6ix9ine. He's definitely always quite controversial in a lot of his actions and statements, but he's came out with some outlandish statements where he claims he feels that hip hop fans are biased to rappers. So, I mean, we did a thing not too long ago where we kind of spoke about hip hop and just a lot of different aspects of it. And, some people may debate where they feel, I guess, the Hispanics and the Latinos part to play and stuff come into it. But 6ix9ine said on Wednesday, May the 3rd, it's been quoted that he hopped on social media with a message about his switch from English to Spanish in his music. And he said, I've seen a lot of people saying, yo, 6ix9ine went from English to Spanish. This is one. I owe my record label a Spanish album. They paid me $3 million for in 2020. Let's talk about two. You know how many Spanish Niggas, is born and raised in Brooklyn, Manhattan, the Bronx, Queens, Staten Island, the whole New York City. What y'all trying to say?
Man,
Spanish
first of all,
ninjas can't eat. So when you Spanish, you can only make you can only make Spanish music. It's our culture too, ninja. F is you talking about. And then he went on to say, just think about it. Name one Spanish rapper other than me and Shorty that could enter the top 10 on Billboard. Name them, and I can't even name Spanish rappers. Y'all don't let ninjas eat. Y'all just mad because I could enter a whole different demographic in the Spanish market. I dominated the English market. Now I'm gonna dominate the Spanish market. And there was some other stuff he went on to say. If you Spanish, Latin, Hispanic in America, you can't make it in rap. They won't give you a chance. You got to take it, bully your way. I'm from New York. Blacks and Hispanics grow up together, same lingo, same story. Why they can't rap and make it too? We're not forced to sing in Spanish because we're Hispanic. So quite a lot there to unpack. 6ix9ine speaking where he feels that hip hop people are biased towards Hispanics and going on to say, he dominated the English market. Now he's got designs to do the same in the Spanish market. I mean, what do you think of this and stuff like
first of
that?
all, 6ix9ine, he's letting these people rub him the wrong way to where they like, you know what I mean? Like they constantly arousing something in him to where he feels like it's always some bullshit going on with him. Well, first of all, number one, if Hispanics had a popular music that everybody, not just Mexican music or Hispanic music, but a music that every genre has gravitated to, do you think that the Mexicans gonna let niggas in? No, they not. You know what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it 100. Like I said, I love Hispanics. I got a bunch of Hispanic homies, and I grew up and went to Catholic school with, and all that. So it ain't that. What I'm just saying is what I see is the Hispanics not really messing with blacks like that. But as far as has Hispanics been there when hip hop popped off? Yes, they was there. But the Bronx ain't nothing but Spanish motherfuckers in the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? So yes, they deserve the crazy legs and all the people that rock steady cool. Come on, man, knock it off. The Hispanics definitely. What's my dude? A diamond girl. Ooh, oh, diamond. Come on, man. I mean, we can take it all the way there. But what I'm saying is, 6ix9ine, you shouldn't be the one that's yapping and talking about that type of shit because you's a snitch. Number one, and number two, you should have went this route at first. Don't you know that the Hispanics are the majority now? The white man is definitely almost not even the majority anymore. They have their eyes so much on us that the Hispanics is outgrown them. And the Hispanics are everywhere. They're the biggest market when it comes to selling. If you got something that Hispanics like or they like you rich. You feel what I'm saying? It's so many of them. They can man, you can go platinum alone, just in LA. You know what I'm saying? With the Hispanics, if you're doing something that they like, you know what I mean? He should have been did that. How come a whole bunch of a whole bunch of us had to go to jail first? Everybody got 15 years, and you running around now. All of a sudden, you want to go Hispanic, which ain't nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to be rapping for your people. You know what I'm saying? You probably would have even been in that trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, definitely some interesting points in there. I feel as though, he made some statements in there where he said, Hispanics and blacks share the same culture. I don't
They do. They do.
particularly agree. Well, I don't particularly agree. I think they share the same environment because I think, maybe to some extent there's a crossover in some cultures and some, cross pollination. And I think, in smaller circumstances and cases, maybe there is a sharing of culture in one aspect, but holistically, I feel as though there's a different culture. I think it's like a subculture that they share because
They do.
one of the things I found interesting about his statements is he said, blacks and Hispanics grow up together. They have the same lingo, same story. And I think that's where I disagree. I think there's a,
Well, you
there's a
do. Yeah, you're
similarity.
right too, and you're absolutely right. You should disagree because that's wrong. That's not right.
There's a similarity in some of the story, but I don't think it's the same. And recently the actor John Leguizamo went on to make some statements where he even spoke about hip hop and spoke about the Hispanic community, and he said, we're the most marginalized community, and we built America and all this stuff. And people are like, wait a minute now, you kind of taking black talking points and try to make that kind of history and struggle yours in one aspect, and you may have some kind of elements in it, but not in its totality. And
No,
I
you
feel
got to
that
see what
with
the
six
defines what
nine
they
and
talking.
another thing that I think was quite interesting to me is he dropped the N word in there a few times, and where he says we share the same culture. Now this is where my point of disagreements come in because I feel as though it's a low level culture that they want to share. So you don't hear him speak on and for the most part it's not just him. You don't hear a lot of other Hispanics that when it comes to saying we share the same culture, that isn't in the aspect of speaking on what's going on in Africa and speaking on black revolutionaries and freedom fighters. It's always really just about some street stuff, which is, as you said, a similar kind of level that people kind of inhabit, or an environment that people inhabit. But in terms of like, let's say, okay, we're striving for the same sort of things, I don't think it's necessarily that in one aspect because, like I said, a lot of these guys who they kind of flip onto the black side when it suits and say, oh, we're down with the blacks, we got the same culture, we can say the M word, we can shoot guns too, we can sell drugs too, we can do this too. A lot of it's to do with the negativity. A lot of them, you never hear him say, oh, we're the same culture, but talk about, ancient African kings or anything like that, or talk about, bringing the diaspora together, or even the Afro Latinos and some of the Afro Hispanics. To me, they kind of pick and choose when they kind of want to highlight the Afro side or the black side and stuff. A lot of the times it's more a positivity towards their Spanish or Hispanic roots, and nothing against that. But I feel as though that's a separate lane, just like you made a great point with their music and stuff like that. Whereas it's that's something that's kind of indicative to them, and you ain't gonna be accepted probably doing it in the same capacity, as an outsider. So I don't know how they can expect the same within hip hop.
It's a double-edged sword because there are Hispanics that deal with black people on a regular, and some of them are the best of friends. So I can't go and just be like all of them is on that. They're not. But what I'm saying is when the Hispanics say that they kind of adapt or are we in the same kind of culture, speaking as far as Spanish, no, we're not. As far as like the proudness and how they get together, they over us. Just keep an eye on it. They surpassed us. You know why? Because when you go in LA and you go anywhere else, you see Hispanic grocery stores, Hispanic buildings, and Hispanic communities for selling. You don't see no black people with no supermarket. You don't see that. You understand? So they got all the car locks, all the dope. They got it popping because they got their people in sync. You understand? They people are in sync. When you dealing with some people that want to be in sync, but don't want to really take they so on the dollar to where it'll never work. If you can be sold and sell some people out, your own people for a dollar amount, it'll never work. You understand? Hispanic people are proud people. These are people that are proud, black and brown and proud, and you know what I'm saying. And black people are proud too. But the fact of it is that at the end of the day, if the United States told the Mexicans, get the fuck out of here, go back to your country, they have a country to go back to. It may be overpopulated, they may not want to be there, but they still have a place that they can go to. Black people don't got no place to go to. You know what I'm saying? So we come from a different world. You know what I'm saying? It's a shame because we do grow up in the same neighborhoods and we do adapt to their cultures. We do like they women and they women like us. And some of the homies, I buy some homies, man, like been doing for years. That was Hispanic. And when the beef used to be on, she would have us, you know what I'm saying, black or not. They be like, she like, oh my God, everybody's so ignorant. Come in, y'all sit down, have some ceviche and all that other type of, you know what I mean? Like, so I can't go against the grain. I feel like the most racist of all of them are the Mexicans as far as with black people. You know what I mean? I don't really see too many Dominican people or, you know, Cubans. And they not really liking black people unless you did something to them. But the Mexican is the one from jail. That's the ones that don't like the blacks. Real Mexicans don't like black people.
So I mean, you know, taking all that, even just unpacking some of that a bit more, and even 6ix9ine statements into consideration. Do you feel he correct in that standing where he said he feel there's a bias against Spanish rappers from black people, or do you think it's more of a thing
Of
where
course.
hip hop is a black culture, and do you think black people have a right to be protective of just what they're into? Some people, we hear it often with sometimes people say with white rappers, they say black rappers don't, or black listeners don't listen to them that much. But is it a thing where it's like we're gonna listen to who we kind of feel more, or is it like you think that there is an actual bias, or you think there's no bias? People are just kind of listen to what they feel, and if that's not his demographic, black people ain't really into him like that, then he can't really be mad. But what do you think?
It's our music, and every time we get something, somebody take it from us. Of course, we gonna be funny with it. Y'all be funny with it. You know what I'm saying? Of course, but 6ix9ine, you should be tipping your hat off to the black people, because in order for you to even get to the success that you at, even being a snitch, still and all, you know what I'm saying? Like you have to go through it with the black. We're not just gonna let you simple like that. You think if you think that the real Hispanics or the Carnage and the real that's slicing and killing people and all that in Mexico, you think they just gonna let some niggas just waltz up in there? No, that ain't popping. So of course he feel a little shade. Now he know how we be feeling. You know what I mean? Now he know how we feel when we get around a bunch of Hispanics and they talking regular, they talking English, and then they get around us and they start talking Spanish because they know niggas don't know it. You know what I'm saying? So it'd be a little disrespect that be going on both sides. But 6ix9ine, of course, he felt a little shade. You know what I'm saying? But we put shade on each other. We make each other feel like that. So I mean, who is he to feel a certain type of way? You dealing with some people that's not afraid to kill their own.
Yeah, I mean, this is hip hop. So as you said, in hip hop, there's a lot of I guess crazier stuff that happens than that. But even I guess you made a good point when you said that blacks often create stuff that then everybody then wants to have a hand in it or play their part. And the thing is that's often even championed or even celebrated by blacks. Like let's say we create a particular dance and then we see somebody of a different group do it and they do it well. We're gonna say hats off to them. Like, okay, dope. But the thing is, I think what the issue is, and I can't speak for a whole group of people, but what I see the issue from a lot of people is they don't feel as though that respect is given to say, okay, you know what, Because if you copy something, there's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, let's give it up to who I got the idea from, or his,
Right,
you know,
right.
salute to the originators, and you know that sort of thing. But oftentimes we don't see that. We see people either, you know, either taking and utilizing stuff for their own advantage, and often isolating out sometimes the originals. Because as you
You
said,
know
you know,
why though?
it's like six
Do
nine
you
and
know
made a
why?
great point. Because if he releases stuff, let's say to a Spanish audience, it's not much different to what some people already do. Look at, like, you know, Korean rappers where their audience is going to be Korean. You know, a lot of those times, let's say if that audience used to listen to, you know, for instance, an American rapper or artist, they might be more inclined to listen to a Korean rapper because he's of their own, you know, group and social makeup and stuff like that. So I think what 6ix9ine is actually doing, in a sense, going to, I guess, a different audience, where he said, you know, a lot of the average people ain't gonna listen to it because of the language barrier and that sort of stuff. But you think he's kind of cashing in on a different audience, you know, which he has the I guess he has the right to, being a part of that group, you know.
Oh man, you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. But you know, like I said, they take our stuff, water it down, and don't give us the money for it and all of
But
that.
yeah, you gonna
But
get
you know,
paid.
but you know
You
why? Do
definitely
you
ain't
know
gonna get paid.
why they say they so quick to run and steal it? You know why they so quick to run and steal it? Because the beginning process, the creative process, is the main ingredient. That we keep coming up with something new. That's the hardest shit to do in the world. Is to come up with something new. Everybody is so stuck on the past and some of the stuff from the past, but we as black people keep eventing.
You know, so, yeah, no, that's real. And you know what? That's real, because I feel like that when, no, you know, no disrespect or shade to a lot of other groups, but sometimes I meet people from different communities, and you know, they play me like a, you know, an artist from their group or something, their racial group. Like, you know, I've ran into like Pakistanis, for instance, that play me, oh, you know, listen to this Pakistani rapper, and I listen to it, I'm like, okay, I hear what he's doing. But in terms of, as you said, the origin of things, because it's like we've kind of heard it all before, it's not going to be impressive. Like, it's kind of be like, okay, well, you know, you guys are finally doing something that, you know, black people have done, you know, multiple times over. Okay, cool. But I think by that point, as you said, the creation often then moves to somewhere else. And you know, I've heard similar stuff on other people's lectures where people have even spoke out on this and said, you know, that's generally what we've seen a pattern of over the, you know, the current epoch of time in history. We see black people create stuff, it become watered down, whitewashed. We kind of give it up, and then somebody else kind of takes it, and we move on to something else. So even when we look at different genres of music, it's been the same, where, you know, there's points where it was heavily rooted in what would then become, you know, known as rock and roll, or, you know, the blues or the jazz, or, you know, just different elements of music. And even though people may still partake in creating it, the holistic lane of creation generally goes to a different point, where, as you said, we generally then create something new. And I think it take about maybe 10 to 20 years for every other group to kind of catch up on it. And I say that because, you know, some are quicker than others, just like hip hop, where we can say the original, you know, the black people created it. You had a few other groups and stuff here and there doing their stuff, but we're looking at, like, you know, 10, 20 years later, or even like now 50 years later with hip hop, where not everybody can kind of do it. That took about 50 years, you know what I mean, for everybody to get to that point where they can produce, you know, the same thing, which was so creatively I guess natural or innate to certain types of black people.
Yeah, man. That's, you know, the fact of it is that the other man is the one who gets the money,
Not the
not the
brother man.
brother man, not the brother man. And that's the sad part about it is that when we see these type of shenanigans going on and you see it, that means y'all supposed to gravitate and get closer. You know what I'm saying? Because you see what they doing. No, they go get with the oppressor, the person who, you know what I mean, with the chain and whipping, and start whipping your ass too with him. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like it doesn't make sense, man. You know, but 6ix9ine, of course, he felt that shade. Yeah, he gonna feel that shade. You know what I mean? When you're dealing with black people, you know, you dealing with black. It's hard being black. I'm like, boy, when I see the Hispanic around some blacks, I'm like, boy, he must have. He ain't no telling what he been doing in order to be able to be that cool and close with him like that. You know what I mean? It's just sad that all of a sudden he turned Spanish when, you know, a shotty in him is all in jail and locked up, got 15 years.
Yeah, well, it's like I said, you know, there's kind of a picking and choosing somewhat to some regard where I think people pick and choose when they, you know, want to be black or play that sort of black card. And, you know, I think you said it before in the past, you say everybody want to be black to, you know, to the police car.
Right, to the police car. They were police, right, and all that shit. Or with the Mexicans be saying, like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, a lot of in talk, a lot of nigger, all that. I said, but you got a Kobe jersey on though.
Yeah, you looking like the Mayatas, man.
Right, you looking like a Mayate right now. And don't you got a fade? And don't you got some Jordans on? They be like, well, that's different, Holmes. I'm like, that ain't different. They black.
I mean, we get it a lot in the UK and in a different aspect, but not so much with Mexicans. So it's kind of an interesting, I guess, social even way that people develop and stuff like that. So it's definitely interesting. I mean, I definitely like to hear other people's thoughts in the comments and stuff as well. Also, I mean, we're going to switch over slightly on this topic because there's something else that I've seen come up this week, which is, I don't know if it's true, but the part of it that is true, which we'll go with first, has been the actress Tasha Smith has been brought in to the announced Bad Boys 4 movie, and Teresa Randall, who originally played Martin Lawrence's wife in the movie, they say won't be taking up the role. There's been some video footage that reportedly has surfaced online with her apparently not looking too well. Some people have speculated whether it could be health or drug issues and, you know, different sort of speculation. We definitely want to say, you know, best wishes to her and stuff. She was a great actress. I remember seeing her in like Beverly Hills Cop and a few other things. But now we've seen it's been announced that Tasha Smith, who I'm sure a lot of people will be familiar with, is going to be taking up the role in this Bad Boys. So the movie's still going forward. A lot of people thought it might not be going forward, you know, after the whole Will Smith thing, but this is the latest news on that aspect. I mean, did you see the footage of Teresa Randall? I mean, I don't want to put no speculation out there because people have kind of likened it to, I guess, Maya Campbell in an aspect where somebody that we used to see on the big screens in a, you know, exalted fashion, and then we see the video of them kind of looking down and out. So,
right, looking like a tumbleweed. You ever seen when a tumbleweed be bouncing through a town and ain't nothing in there? That's what motherfuckers be looking like. You see, you gotta, as an actor, you gotta keep your shit tight because like when you in a blockbuster movie, they're gonna want you to come back and have a sequel, and then you have to look a certain type of way. Or if you're not looking that type of way when they offer it to you, that's when you gotta cram. The real actors and musicians know about this. You know, your weight always is a problem. Your weight, you know what I mean? Dropping weight, knowing how to drop weight, knowing how to, you know, slack on your Mac when nothing's going on, you're not performing, and just eating Cheetos and all kind of, you know, cheese doodles and all kind of things, and then getting thick. But when you're an artist and you're an actor, on your weight and all that shit is never far behind. Never. You got to stay on it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we can't speculate. Like I said, I don't want to speculate, but people are saying from the footage that she doesn't look in a bad way, in a good way, I should say. There was no audio on it, was just video. I mean, you know, even if we look at this from the tangent, I guess from, you know, the acting and the Hollywood standpoint, because as you said, you might do a film and they might come back for you. Do you think that they should do more to maybe support some of these people afterwards? Like if,
yeah.
You know, I mentioned Maya Campbell even earlier, and some people say they feel as though even, you know, she was on a big show, those guys should reach out and, you know, maybe, you know, try and put her, maybe not say put her back on TV, but, you know, try and help them. I mean, WWE, slightly off topic, but still it fits.
She didn't make them so much money. You know what I'm saying? Of course they should reach out.
They provide medical, you know, care and coverage and stuff for people who have been in their company if they've, you know, got caught up in drugs and stuff. Do you think there should be something like that?
Maya didn't want to help though. Maya didn't want to help. She didn't want to help. I know Maya very well. We grew up as teenagers and shit like that. That was Bambino Girl back in the day. Maya didn't want no help. And I know this for sure. And Debbie Allen reached out to Maya, and Maya wasn't ready. And some people didn't work. They didn't work too hard in this shit. They didn't work too hard for you to come and dismantle it like some Jenga. Like, you know what I'm saying? This shit is, you know what I mean? No. So, Debbie Allen them is no nonsense. These veterans in the game. My ear, get yourself together. She wasn't ready. People was getting on LL Cool J. LL Cool J, didn't self-centered by himself and all that shit. He by himself, which ain't nothing wrong. Everybody know LL by himself. Everybody know LL was himself is the biggest attraction is himself. He say shit like, get around, like, listen, don't try to talk to none of the girls. They all came here for me. That type of thing. LL arrogant, say some shit like, but even he reached out and she turned it down. You know what I'm saying? Knowing. That's how you high, because the fact of, you're not gonna sacrifice. It's hard in this game. It's hard to get where she was on her way up. You know what I'm saying? So mental illness is definitely real. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not talking about my ear. I used to tell my ear all the time, get yourself together. You know what I mean? As a friend, but people gotta be tired.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned, man, how do you think that play a part? Whereas though, some people might say, okay, well, they didn't want help, or do you think maybe they just weren't in the space or in the level of, I guess, understanding in some cases? And I guess this is still
I mean, all the friends is rich. All them is rich. You know what I'm saying? The Debbie Allen, all them, and LL, they rich. So it ain't the money. It ain't the money. It's just like when you on your grind and you on your atlas of doing what you doing. Okay, nothing wrong with stopping and try to help somebody. You know what I'm saying? Get back on their feet if they want to be helped. If it's not going to be an uphill battle, it's not going to be easy, of course. But if it's going to be too much of an uphill battle, most people be like, I'm not about to be doing that. You're going to knock me off my atlas of what I'm doing, and then I'm going to fall to the wayside. Who going to come save me? You? You know what I mean? No. So get it right. Get it right.
I don't think people, maybe, as you said, could probably lend too much of a hand themselves. I guess, everybody, I guess, got their own personal decisions and stuff that they make. But I feel from an organizational, institutional level, we do know that, a lot of actors are a part of, maybe the Screen Actors Guild or stuff for some instance. I know some of these organizations maybe do have charitable arms and branches that can, offer some kind of help or support. But I think holistically,
you gotta want
a lot of the issues that people get into just through being in Hollywood and in the industry, and we see an article that came out the other day with I gotta try and remember the brother's name, but he starred in Grey's Anatomy. You remember the black guy from Grey's Anatomy? Like you remember?
Was it the dude that played Daryl in Coming to America? Lisa boyfriend, was that him?
Oh yeah, no, not him. That's he was in. I believe that could have been ER that he was in. He was in the one. He was in the one with Clooney, right? You talking? I know who you talking. Him. No, this was this other black. I'm about to tell you his name. I'm just searching for right now. But I mean, he basically came out recently in a report and was saying, just from some of the stuff that used to happen, I guess behind the scenes with the Grey's Anatomy cast and crew. His name's Isaiah Washington. And
yeah. Isaiah Washington. Yeah, I know. Yeah, he got in trouble calling somebody white people something.
Yeah, I mean, but he spoke out and he said, the Grey's Anatomy set was full of rampant drug use and swingers parties and things of that nature. So what I'm kind of saying is, maybe some of these people that get involved in Hollywood and the industry and stuff, some of these things might be hard for them to recover from afterwards. Like, it's all fun and well, I guess, when you're at the parties and everything's up in that, but then sometimes it's tougher for them maybe to deal with some of the stuff after, if they've involved or engaged in some of these activities.
You know what it is, man? You know what it really is that not disrespecting anybody. You know what I'm saying? I've grown. When I first got in the industry, I used to go hard. A lot of the stylists and makeup artists, they was people in that lifestyle, the alphabet lifestyle. And I used to go hard on them, sock them and slap them out and all that. You know what I'm saying? So my homeboy told me, like, "Watch, you can't keep doing that. You know what I mean? You're gonna not be able to work." You know what I'm saying? And so I had come to the realization. I was like, "Well, I ain't on that. So why am I so fearful of it?" Or you know what I mean? I'm not about to be hanging out with some people that's doing what y'all doing, but I seen their people too. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not on that, you have nothing to be worried about. You know, it just it's a sticky situation, bruh. You know, but Isaiah always have spoke his mind. He's always have been, you know, if put it to you like this, man, we all come from different backgrounds, but if you when you come into this game and you want some real, you know, NIWGA type shit, you know, it's going to be a culture shock for you. It's going to be a whole bunch of people telling you that you have to do this, tighten up, conduct yourself this way. You know, they even have mannerism classes and shit when we used to be in industry in music, etiquette classes showing you how to just call selling records. You know what I'm saying? But to say this is that it's a lot of things that go on that's hush hush. And if you on some real, you know, if you on some keep it in 100 and all that, it's not gonna work all the time. You're not gonna be invited to a lot of things. You know what I mean? Because you speak your mind, you're upfront about it, and sometimes you can cut off your nose to despite your face. Sometimes you can just have been quiet, mind your business.
Yeah, I think there's definitely an element to that. I think, you know, one of the things, you know, especially over the years, you know, thanks to the internet, podcast, interviews, all that stuff, we've seen a lot of different people speak out in different regards. I seen an interview not too long ago with Omar Gooden, you know, Cuba Gooden Jr.'s brother, and he was speaking about just some of his time within the industry and saying, you know, he hasn't been propositioned as such, but he did sort of infer that these kind of things happen. And he was talking about movies and roles. And you know what, I got respected because you know, Cuba did a movie called Boat Trip where he played a guy who was pretending to be gay on a gay cruise to try and get this woman in this, you know, convoluted plot. And it did involve him, I think, wearing a dress at one point. And, you know, his brother was speaking about certain things, and he did actually, you know, bring up that movie and stuff. And he was bringing up just some of his own decisions with movies and stuff. So I encourage people to check that interview out. But I say that because, you know, we're looking at navigation, and I think that's what it is. Like you're saying, I guess people have been able to navigate through the industry in different ways without necessarily being, you know, involved in certain things or doing things. It does come, I guess, to your level of your own discipline, or you know what you're into or what you could be enticed
I
into.
mean, you
We've
not
heard
being
people
on that is one thing,
say
but
you open the door, and if you go through that door, if you see that door, you know, you got the choice. You can close the door back and, you know, and make like you didn't see that.
I mean, like I said, you may not be involved in it and you may not partake in none of it. You know what I'm saying? But to say that you're gonna go through this industry and nobody's gonna come with a proposal, you're not in the industry. That's what this industry is about. There's a difference between some producers or you know what I'm saying, uh, testing your acting ability and be like, we want you to play a gay role. Now, you could be like, okay, well, I'm not on that, but this is acting. You're not yourself. You're playing someone else. But these producers have been doing this for so long that miraculously they have you try to do some of these type of roles when you're just starting out. You can't come to a Denzel Washington and tell him, I need you to play a gay dude. He's gonna be looking at you like, he must be new here or living under a rock or something. I don't do those type of roles because I don't have to, because I've established myself so I don't have to. But when you first get into this game, you know, you never know what these producers with their little sick thoughts and they sick demented thoughts, and they just want to see you in a dress so they can go back and whack off in the trailer by themselves. You feel what I'm saying? So that's what's been going on, bro. People have been abusing their power.
Yeah, no, definitely a lot of abuse of power. I mean, and it's not just out there. Even out here in the UK, recently we seen former BBC DJ Tim Westwood, who's a big DJ, you know, out here in the UK. He was a gatekeeper for many years, and a figurehead in the hip hop community, especially from a UK standpoint within the BBC. He's actually the son of an Anglican bishop, which is quite noteworthy, seeing as today is the official coronation of King Charles III. So his father's up there in the whole regal thing and aspect, and he held a position for many years within the BBC, and we've seen reports even recently with a new telephone investigation line where people have been looking into some of the stuff that he's done, which is allegations of abuse of power with women, primarily black women. They say all the women who accuses have been black. This is an old 65-year-old white man. I think the youngest they said was allegedly 14, where he's been making indiscreet promises and stuff. Obviously, just utilizing his power and his influence to
I seen something about that. I think I seen something about that, and he was really abusing his power, like. You know what I mean? And something happened, like something happened from it, something.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're still leading the investigations now. Some people feel as though the investigations are a bit of they're glossing over the events and just want to be seen to be doing something about it. But I just, even brought it up to exemplify it's not just, I think some people think it's just a Hollywood thing, but it's not just a Hollywood thing. I think there's a lot of stuff going on from an industry standpoint, period.
Right. Yeah, I heard something about that vaguely, and he was something else. Like he was really something else, like promising them stuff and just building them up to let them all the way down. You know what I mean? It was an interesting story.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, a lot of the promises I guess he allegedly made wasn't necessarily things he could fulfill or keep, but he didn't mind selling that kind of illusion to procure whatever he wanted out of him in that situation,
He just wanted some Wu-Tang. That's all it was.
He wanted some Black Cat, really. That was it.
That's all it was. Yeah, man. Have you heard about, I don't know how true it is. I hope it's true. But have you heard about Shaq and someone else, I think 50 Cent, purchasing BET back?
Well, I heard, 50 Cent is in some talks. I didn't hear Shaq's name. I did hear with somebody else that he's allegedly in some kind of talks to either be, looking at trying to acquire BET. I mean, what do you think about that?
So ironic, we was talking about it. Didn't we do something on that? Were we talking about that?
Yeah, it's a fact. We did. We spoke on it. Yeah, we spoke on it, and obviously the conversation now it's kind of come around in hip hop where it's been reported that 50 Cent could be interested, or is at least shown interest. We don't know how far that was stretched, but he's shown some interest. A lot of people, when we look at, they think
50 got the name right now. 50 got the name, and he got the money. He got about 8 shows that he has out. He's established as a person dealing with movies and entertainment. Why not buy BT? See, it's that's what you're supposed to be doing. This is what they're supposed to be doing right now. They up already from making money from all the other endeavors. Now you're supposed to sit around. Finally, somebody sat around and saved their money and got their money, and they have the same story. Remember when we had the money? Where's that right now? It's all gone and all that. No, they still got it. And so that's what you're supposed to be doing. Snoop bought back Death Row. You know what I mean? They gonna get back BET. How you gonna call it BET and black people don't own it?
I'm with you. I think it would definitely be a good look if they're able to put it back under some ownership. I mean, you mentioned 50 got a lot of shows. He provided a lot of opportunities and work and stuff. I mean, 50, one of those characters people looking at, sometimes they say that they feel that he always, I guess, in public, kind of attacking like other black people in the black community and stuff. But he does his bit in terms of what is provided in terms of work through his films and stuff like that. I mean, people can argue what they feel about the content and all that stuff. That's a whole different issue. But I think it would be a good look for these guys to get back some ownership of it. You mentioned Death Row and stuff also. there's been obviously a lot of uproar and backwards and forwards with that, with Suge putting out his thoughts on it. Suge Knight, he did quite a lot recently. He spoke about the Doggy Style album and stuff as well, how he felt as though a lot of the production wasn't done by Dre. And, quite interesting, rest in peace to Laylaw, Reggie Wright, he just put something out and Reggie was on there and he said Laylaw actually produced California Love.
Laylaw, rest in peace, my mentor to put me out in the world to the world. Laylaw and Derek McDowell, known as D-Mac, everybody know D-Mac on the West. And I recall because around that time, I was up at Aftermath for a year. You know what I'm saying? And D came back and told me, he was like, you got to realize, man, Dr. Dre is an expert engineer as well as a producer. So he can take, it's his ears. He can take something that you have and it's okay. But when he touch it, it sounds like a totally different song. So D-Mac did the drums. I think D-Mac did the drums and Dre did the keyboards. You know what I'm saying? No, Dr. Dre wasn't doing a lot of those beats. You know what I'm saying? Still big up to Dr. Dre. It's because people don't realize it's a tool. It's a tool. Even if he didn't write the song, it's still a talent to be able to take something that somebody else wrote and you mimic it and put it out, and it's your sound. That's a form of music. That's form of like a Quincy Jones type of Quincy Jones.
Dre had incredible talent at that. I gotta give it up to him for that because we seen even I remember getting the Death Row Greatest Hits album years ago, and it had this guy in there, Jay Flex, and he had a track on there who been there. I didn't know too much about him, but from what he was saying on the track, I was like, okay, he said that he originated a lot of stuff, but it was just that one song. Recently now, his interviews where he speak on all the stuff that he done, and it's like, in one aspect, salute, I can give it up to him, but then when I listen to the songs at the same time, it's like, Dre, how he dropped them, even just his voice as a rapper and stuff, even though the guy said, those were his lyrics on a lot of the songs where Dre just switched them around, but Dre had that voice and that delivery where, as you said, it's like he a different kind of artist where even some, vocalist artists, they've got big songs that they didn't write. Somebody else might have wrote it. So he kind of brought that element to hip hop as like a musician where, a lot of other people may have done some of the preliminary work, but he picked up the pieces and he was good at it.
You may not be able to play all of the instruments that you hear in your head, but when somebody give you the green light, it's because you done came with a bunch of songs that were hits. Quincy Jones would go in the studio. He knew how to play a couple of instruments, but he wasn't playing all them instruments. He went and found the best people that know how to play that instrument. So when he's coming with a song, he needed to sound just like it sounded in his head. So that's a form of producing. Like Diddy. Diddy not out there making all the beats and it looked good. Diddy ain't out there doing all the beats. He's Diddy. He too famous to sit around and do the legwork shit that they used to do. He go get other people to go do it. But he put his sign on it. If it ain't sounding how he wanted to sound, him doing the beats or not, it's not coming out. And that's what it goes. That's what goes on. Real producers, it's so many different ways of producing. You know what I'm saying? So I don't fault them. When you're getting too busy, you can do all.
Yeah, I'm with you. I ain't mad at them because I kind of produce that way as well. Where I ain't a beat maker per se, in that aspect, but same kind of thing. Just being able to pull together that production and having that sound, and then having somebody there to translate some of it.
Why you think he don't got to do the beats no more? Because he's already built his signature sound.
Well, I understand that to somebody because I've done different jobs with people where, I've had people edit for me, mix for me, graphic design for me, and in a lot of cases, I've had to sit down there with them and pretty much fully instructed on what I want. Now the question would be at the end of it, even though they might have done the actual, you know, the work doing it by pushing the buttons or whatever, who actually conceptualized it or created it, you know, because it can be argued, because it's coming from your mind. You sit there, you be like, well, they didn't actually do nothing of their own, you know, volition in a sense. It was all just what you suggested. So ultimately, it's you that created it, you know.
Like the producers. Okay, it's cool to have a mouse. It's the new age to have a mouse and record and make the beat. It's cool if you can do that. I ain't taking nothing away from people who do that. But to me, when a producer is with his hand, that means it's coming from here through to you. A mouse is just a mouse. To me, that's real producing. When a producer is on that, he on that MPC 60 or the SB 1200, and he's coming from his rhythm from his body, the psyche of his body, doing that. That's real produce. Those are the real major hits. You know what I'm saying? To me, like I've seen producers. You know, I was the artist that got close with the producer, so I can know what he's on, and he'll know what I'm on. I should be able to look at him and don't even say nothing. I'm on stage. I can look at him a certain way. He already know where to go. It's because y'all, you know what I'm saying? Like people don't be practicing. We used to practice shit.
Well, you know, it's a different game how it is now, but we definitely give it up to the original kind of fundamentals and stuff and the ways of doing things.
Right, man. You know, rest of, you know, to everybody, man, you know, do what you're supposed to do. Tighten up. You know what I mean? A speedy recovery to Jamie Foxx. And y'all hold y'all head. You know what I'm saying? Because it's about to get ugly. It's about to get ugly.
Yeah, definitely a lot going down. We're going to be back next week. Do let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you're on YouTube, if you guys listening across the airwaves, definitely appreciate you guys. Also, so we got quite a bit coming up this year. You know, still got to be celebrating hip hop 50th year anniversary. We'll be back with some reactions to things. Definitely check out the previous stuff that we've done and reacted to, segments and interviews. Your boy FONZi Neutron representing abouttheonline.com with Los Angeles, aka Floss Mode.
Yep.